All righty, we'll have an opening prayer by Pastor Devin.
Okay. Let's pray. God, we give you thanks for this day and this time to come together to contemplate the work that we get to be a part of. And I pray that you would lead us in our discussion, that you would open our minds and hearts to you, that we might be changed to change your world. Amen. Amen.
All righty, we're going to have approval of the minutes. Have you had a chance to see if there are any additions or corrections?
Yeah. Tingling and everything.
Yeah.
So. It'll come back. We'll see.
Okay, last chance, last call. Any additions, any corrections? All right, we'll just consider those approved as read. I have a devotion. The devotion is called Faithful God, and it's based on 1 Thessalonians 5:24. He who calls you is faithful, who also will do it. When Moses encountered God in the burning bush, he wasn't thrilled with the assignment God had for him to go to Pharaoh and seek the freedom of the Israelites. Moses posed several questions to God in Exodus 3 and 4. Who am I to go before Pharaoh? Who shall I tell the people of Israel sent me? What if they don't believe me? Why me, since I am slow of speech and slow of tongue? The Lord patiently reminded Moses that he would also always be with him, that Moses wouldn't have to face Pharaoh alone. God told Moses his name, the great I Am, the God of Moses' ancestors. Then God equipped Moses with special signs to prove that he had been sent of the Lord. When Moses raised his last objection, God reminded him that he had made Moses' mouth and given him everything he needed to accomplish the task at hand. God was never angry with Moses until Moses said, in effect, God, this sounds wonderful, but I'm not the man for the job. Find someone else. Have you been called to a job you feel totally inadequate to accomplish? That's okay. God is faithful to fulfill his calling for you. All he wants are willing vessels. All righty. We will have reports of committees. I'll just let you all go down the line and come on up. Staff Parish Relations Committee first.
I am filling in for Jessica again. There's a speech deal going on at the high school and Delaney's involved with that. The good news is, with Staff Parish Relations, we don't have anything controversial going on, so there isn't a lot to report on. We are in the process of going through all of the job descriptions that we have for all of our staff, and Pastor Devin has taken great pains in getting those up to date and being more specific exactly what those job descriptions are. The staff is going great, but we want to keep our expectations there because when turnover occurs, we want to continue that continuity. So we're in the process of doing that. We're doing 5 at each meeting, and it's just a matter of basically a little bit of typos and no great changes because they're put together perfectly. We do have exciting news. May 22nd, our new organist will start on May 22nd. So we've talked about this now for a while, and now it's finally, it's spring, and so here pretty soon we're going to have a new organist. So that's exciting, so we can look forward to that. Other than that, there isn't any other news coming from Staff Parish. Thank you.
I will try to keep this fairly short, although my list kept getting bigger as Devin kept sending me emails. Wherever he is, there he is. Okay. All right. First thing, in the packet that you picked up or the packet that was sent to you, there is a to-do list. It is the trustees' maintenance to-do list. I'll let you find that. That's what we work off of. It's something that we have created over different versions of trustees have created this over the last probably 4 to 5 years. And we keep updating it all the time, taking things off as they get done, adding new things in as we see them or as we find them. What we would ask you to do is to, first of all, take a look at that. And if you have time tonight, go through there and give us your top 3 choices. I mean, we've already as trustees have looked at it, we've come up with our top 3. We don't know if your top 3 are going to be the same as ours, but we would really like to compare, and then we can add some of those things in to maybe things, yes, Devin, I know, okay. There is a card that's there for you to put your top 3 on. It's a little orange card or a lime card or whatever, okay? So, and we would also ask you though, every one of you here belongs to different small groups within the church. Take this to-do list and go to those and discuss them with them also. And if they want to give us top 3s, certainly we will entertain those, we will take those. I'm usually around. If I'm not, you can give them to James. If you see him, you can give them to Devin. Just give them to somebody, get them to us, and we will take a look at it and change if we need to, okay? Next thing, if you've been here this week, you know that we're getting a new roof because it's been, when you walk in, all you can hear is hammering most of the time when you walk in, but we're getting a new roof. Don't know that we told you this, but that means also that we'll have all new air conditioning systems up top also. And the roof, with any luck, may well be done before the rains come in next week. We cross our fingers and hope. Okay. By the way, our garage already has the new roof on it, and our rental has a new roof already on it also. Okay. Next thing, construction of the playground starts, weather permitting, on April the 19th.
I didn't do that.
Of course you did. You just had somebody else do it for you. Okay. Anyway, okay. With that, having said that, approximately April 3rd or April 4th, we will put in half of the monies up front to order in the playground equipment. And so that once the construction is completed, hopefully, we can have the playground equipment here and they can start on putting the playground equipment actually in place. So, okay. So with any luck, I mean, thinking about that and delays, et cetera, we might actually have a playground in place by June. Yes, I mean, that's like, that was her, and I know that it was her. Okay. Next, we're getting new LED screens for the sanctuary. And I think everybody here, if you've ever gone online, sometimes you can't hardly see the screens at all on what's going on. And sometimes even if you're in the sanctuary, if you're in the wrong place, you might not be able to see what's going on also on the LED screens, so they're being replaced. We're putting in new ones. Okay. Any timeline on that, Devin?
Could be before Holy Week or like the week after, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
They're ordering the parts. They're supposed to be in soon.
Yeah, all of this anymore is we're ordering the parts, we paid for it, we're just waiting for the stuff to show up here. Okay.
But it's paid for, so.
It's paid for, and that's the good thing. It is paid for. Okay, all right. Next thing, we're in the process right now, have been with Finance Committee, of reviewing all the trust accounts. The accounts that we've reviewed so far are the Program Enhancement Fund, and that has approximately $158,000 in it. The Parsonage Fund had $44,000 in it. We have now dissolved the Parsonage Fund because we have heard loud and clear from everybody in this church, especially the trustees have heard loud and clear for the last 2 to 3 years, there will never, ever be another parsonage. So we went, why do we have a parsonage fund? So we got rid of the parsonage fund. That money has gone back into our budget, and it pays for part of Pastor Devin's housing. So, okay. We have another fund called the Property Acquisition Fund that we reviewed. It had $2,259 in it. We looked at that and went, why do we need a property acquisition fund with only $2,000 in it? And what are we doing with this? We dissolved that fund and moved that money into other accounts within the church. Okay. We had another fund that we looked at, which is called the Lemon Trust Fund. It is set up for missionaries in Brazil. The problem with it is, and it has $290,000 in it. The problem with it is that Brazil does not want our money. They have their own fund set up there that they use for their missionaries. And so we're going to have to look at that again and again and again and recreate the group that oversaw that fund with a new group. And then our hope is that we might be able to move that into, once we have a group put together, they may decide to move that into just a straight mission fund. So those are the things that we've looked at right now. We will meet again, I don't know when, we'll get together and go over other trust funds, but those are the ones that we've reviewed at this time and what we've done with them. Any questions on that at all? Oh man, I brought all the stuff so I could run over that table and read to you what they say. Okay. All right, last thing. I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it as the chair of the trustees and say it for some of the trustees, maybe not all of the trustees, because I don't think we've ever taken a vote on this. Right? We want to form a security team made up of 9 members from all parts of the church, ushers, greeters, Sunday school classes, etc. We want to involve the congregation in the security for the church. And the reason this came about is that one day I started walking around asking random members that I saw in the sanctuary, did you all know that we have radios for the church? Some of you? Okay. Does anybody know where they're kept? Oh, that's good. Okay. We have radios and we're getting more radios for the church, and 2 more for the church. The problem is a lot of times is that the usher teams don't all know where the radios are, and they don't use them, and they don't walk around with them. And we got them so that if there was trouble, we could alert somebody inside that there was trouble. It doesn't work if you don't carry the radios or if you don't know where they are. So we went, okay. Then I started asking other questions. How many of you know where the fire extinguishers are in the church? 3. Okay. Not enough. Not enough. Okay. All of us need to know where the fire extinguishers are for the church. Okay.
Bill, excuse me, just,
Yeah.
you might also mention to them, they need to find at least 24. At least 24 in the building of fire extinguishers.
Okay, there, all right. So now you're on a hunt. Okay.
Easter eggs.
Then I asked, do you know where the first aid kits are that we put in? Some do. I mean, those are out there, some do. Others don't have a clue that we even have first aid kits. We have first aid kits hanging on every floor right now. And then I asked, do you know what those things are that are hanging on the walls that are called defibs or defibrillators? And some said yes, and others said no. And then I said, if you had to use them, would you? I've never been trained. I asked the same thing about first aid. I've never been trained in first aid. Anyway, my hope is that we can put together a security team made up of at least 9 members in this church. I'm going to keep pushing it until the trustees tell me that I'm no longer the chair, probably. So I'll keep pushing it for a while because nobody wants the job. But I'm going to keep pushing this. I really think that we need a security team, and I think this team needs to tell the church what we need to do. I think it needs to help us get involved with this, and I think the entire congregation over time needs to be involved in all parts of the security of this church. With that, if there are no other questions, that's my report.
All right, I'm going high-tech redneck tonight. I've got it on my phone. Our report is actually kind of the finance report is probably the shortest one of the year, just due to the timing. If you think about it, January, February, we're not quite through March, so we don't even have really those first quarters. But we have looked at our last meeting, we looked at January and February numbers, and Vicki included it. If you pull out this report that talks about revenue and expenses, Vicki does such an awesome job on the financial reports to begin with, but this one is the one that I always pull up when she sends 8 or 9 different reports to us. This is the one that I always go back to just because it's a snapshot, and it shows, of course, through February. So if you look at it, it shows through February, the month, and then it also shows kind of the year-to-date versus 2021. So, for instance, if you look kind of on that first chart where it says 2022 year-to-date and then 2021, you can see those pledges. The things that we're monitoring this year are the pledges and the non-pledge amounts. Okay, those are the 2 things that really kind of worry us. I think I said that at the last meeting. And then, of course, keeping expenses in line. But if you can see, it's exactly what we talked about. Now, we feel like those numbers will kind of even themselves out. But 2021 pledge amount up through the end of February was 120,000. This year it was 110. And then you go down to, remember those non-pledged, that's where last year at the end of February we had 18,000. This year we're at 7,000. So we're a little bit, and then you go down to the total offering, 146,000 versus 128 this year. We're monitoring that. That's, a lot of times people will actually give larger donations at the beginning of the year, end of the year and beginning of the year. So we're watching that. We should get a better feel in March. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see where the same chart, the 2022 versus 2021, our expenses are a little bit higher than they were last year as well. So really we haven't done the first quarter yet. We will do that. But everything that we're monitoring, so there's really nothing updated in that regard. Anybody have any questions on? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering on the non-pledge amount, we had so many people join the church last year.
Right.
And I wonder.
It's 100%. That's kind of what we were thinking and hoping is, people that, and not only joining the church, but coming back. I think that's the other piece to the puzzle, because I know in our Sunday school class, we've had several families come back that were gone for a year or 2. And so you think about it, if they weren't here in October or November of 2020, the year before, they didn't get counted in last year's pledges. They show up in March of 2021, they're donating, they're giving, but it wasn't a part of that pledge number necessarily. So that's a number that's kind of thrown us all, honestly. Several of us, Melissa and I were both a little bit leery of that number because it was so good last year compared to where we're at. So we'll continue to monitor that. Any other questions? the finance side of things, we're in really good shape, really. All right, thank y'all.
So when Devin emails, you guys open them? Sometimes they just sit in my inbox for a while. Oh, sorry, Devin. I get it now, okay. I'm here for the missions committee. We did meet during the Super Bowl Sunday, and that was a fun time. The youth were doing their Super Bowl thing, and we were over here trying to get our meeting done, so it was a fun time. We are working on Open Your Heart. We do have our schedule set for the year. The only month we have open is November, but we're already monkeying with it and thinking that we may need to make some changes. But this month we've been doing Enid Street outreach services. They do Enid SOS. You can check them out on the internet, but they take a van out to places where they can find people in need, and they give them things that they need. And then there's a place that they can go and get warm. They're working on a grant so that people can go in and do their laundry there. So we supported them with our Open Your Heart this month. Next month, near and dear to my heart, we're collecting children's books, new or gently used. And then we're going to take them to the 4-year-olds at the Carver Center. We're going to take them to the, it escapes me now. What? Head Start, thank you. The Head Start, and so the more we get, the more places that we'll be able to deliver those to. And we like to deliver those close to the last day of school so the kids have a book to take home with them. I have been surprised. My own school just recently visited the Carver Center, and the students each took a book to read to a class and did a craft with them. And I have been surprised at the number of kids that don't have books. They gave away books, and I was super surprised at the kids that were so excited to, oh my gosh, I get to take this home. And it was really neat. It's amazing to me how many of our families aren't able to have that big library for their children. In May, we're Youth and Family Services. We may be switching that over to the Commons because we're focusing on them that month. But one of those two organizations will be May, and then in June it's Foster Feet. So our own Marcia Scott is really involved with that, so we want to support that effort. For Communion Rail, March was UMCOR. CDSA prescription program will be April, and they are really in need of that. I got to deliver that one year, and I was walking in with a box, and the lady was following me down the hall saying, "Do you have this?" And I'm literally handing stuff to her as I walk down the hall. So I watched how needed that was. May is our Native American ministry focus, and so that will be our Communion Rail, and in June is Peace with Justice. Welcome table dates. We have April 17th, and the big class, Go Big, is going to take that for us. And then we have May 15th will be the one following that, and June the 19th after that. Let's see, we talked in depth about wanting to see how I did that? I don't open your emails, but I remember that. To see the ways that the congregation wants us to serve. So we want to not just our mission team's ideas, but we want to know where your heart is, where your passion is, what it is that you would like to see us pursue. And so we're looking at putting together a survey that will go out to the congregation that gives you an opportunity to say, this is where I'm involved, this is a need that I see in our community, and then the mission team can use that to do some long-range planning. Melissa Tesson is amazing at so many things, but she's amazing at getting us lined out and pushing us to not just let's step through the motions every month, but let's really look at what the congregation wants and put some long-range plans in place that everyone can get behind. And with that said, we are learning that if missions are going to happen and we're going to make a difference, it's not that we sit around a table and talk about it, it's that we've got to get up and get out there and start making a difference. And when we want to do something, we have to do more than talk about it. We have to then go and do it. It's not enough for me to say, I'd really like to have project transformation. I need to do project transformation. And that's one of the things that we're looking at. Melissa talked about it last time. We're really praying about whether that's something that our church can tackle again, because many of us have a heart for that. So that's another thing that we're talking about, and so you should be seeing that survey once we get it all together and get Devin's approval. We'll be getting that out there. And then I wanted to mention Youth Force. The youths are going to Ardmore again, and we're going to need bodies that are willing to work. They have to have a crew member. It's 1 for every 5 youth, and they'd like to have at least 16. And so we've got to have some adult bodies that are willing to go and work alongside our students at making a difference for people in that community in Ardmore. So I wanted to mention that for you guys to take back to your small groups. And then also when the survey comes out, really talk that out among your small groups and really let them know that we would like to be able to be a church that does the things that our congregation wants us to support. Thank you. Did you have questions?
Okay, I'm just here to report on some events that we've had recently in the church and that are coming up. The father-daughter dance was held back in February, and it was a huge success. Best one ever is what I heard at my house. We were able to have a DJ this year, and so I think he was a hit, and we will ask him to come back next year. We had 50 plus fathers, daughters, dads, dudes come and enjoy the night. So I think it was a good time. I just want to remind you of all the things that are happening during Holy Week, starting with Stations of the Cross. That will be the Sunday night of Palm Sunday, I think 6:30. I'm sure there's a flyer coming out with all these dates, but please remember that those are all going on. Thursday, we'll have a Maundy Thursday service, and then Friday will be the ecumenical service with the community, the other churches here. And do we know if those are going to be back?
Yeah, we'll start at the Presbyterian Church.
Okay, back in the churches, because we did those on the lawn last year at the courthouse, but it's always one of my favorites. And then Saturday, that's something I want to press, is we have the Easter egg hunt here at 10:30. Eggs are out in the foyer to be picked up and filled. I think there's 25 per sack if you want to fill some eggs. And then bring those back. And I think we've got around 2,000 eggs is what we had last year. So those are bagged and ready to be filled, or if you just want to drop your candy off, I'm sure we have some lovely volunteers that would stuff those eggs around here. And also, if anybody would like to volunteer, or please tell your groups that we need volunteers on Saturday morning as well to help hide eggs and supervise small children. And then we are planning, or we've talked about, Ginger, I missed the last staff meeting, hosting a brunch on Sunday morning.
Yes, and I'm on that.
Okay, and Ginger's on that, and so kind of our idea is for people who are out-of-towners or college kids who are coming back or families that are coming back have a place to be able to get together and visit and talk and communicate and see and hug and do all those fun things that you do on Easter morning with your families. So here at the church with our church family. So Ginger will be putting some information out about that or getting that to me, and I'll be getting it out to everyone else. So I think that's all I have to report at this time.
Well, what great reports. I do have one question. These Easter eggs that you're sending home, who thought of that? We used to sit down here and fill them up. Who thought of sending 25 home with, was that you, Ginger?
No, it was Christina.
Christine, isn't that a great idea?
And she
I've
had
seen
the
so many
children bag them up in 25. So it was
Of course, great idea.
Some of them smart children.
Surprise somebody put money in the eggs instead of candy.
I like that idea.
Candies from last year.
Oh.
They weren't wrapped, so I guess parents don't not eat them.
Well, I have just a few things to talk about tonight. I certainly appreciate all the reports from the committee chairs. This is a great meeting tonight. We have good attendance and good reports, and that's really what's the reason that we have church council. And I know that last Sunday, Devin and our liturgist, Pam Shanehouse, invited members of our congregation to join us at church council, even if you aren't a member. And so I hope that we'll continue to do that, and our group will grow, because that's a great way to get the message out. I had the opportunity on March 5th to participate in a Northern Prairie District gathering that was held here at First Church. All the churches in the Northern Prairie District attended, their laity attended, and it was an opportunity to have some missions training. I know Devin was involved. I wasn't here in the morning, but in the afternoon, first thing I heard was what a great lunch. And I see Sue back there. I'm sure she was involved in that. What a great lunch we provided, and they thanked First Church for our hospitality. Had an opportunity then to spend about an hour and a half with the district lay leader, Martha McMillan from Stillwater, and several lay leaders from Methodist churches across Northern Prairie District of all sizes. And it was so fun to hear of the things that they're doing, the way that they're serving, just like First Church. I traveled this week, and I went through Drumright. When you travel, I wonder if you do this. I love to look for the Methodist church when I drive through a town, and I always just feel safe when I see that church and comfortable and blessed. And the church in Drumright is pretty. It's old and beautiful. So if you have a chance to go through Drumright, check that out. So now we have this: see, study, serve, share, send. And you know, I talked to Pastor Devin about this on Monday, and I talked to my Bible study about it last night, and I'm going to share with you what happened to me a few Sundays ago, recently, and I had an opportunity to struggle with what this says and what we need to do. I was helping with, at my house we call it donuts. It's hospitality here at First Church, but that's what, Mom, are you doing donuts? Yes, I'm doing donuts. So I had the opportunity to spend some time in the narthex, and one of our members came up to me. She was helping an elderly member get to Sunday school, and she came up and said, there's a lady that just came in the door, and she's new. She's never been to First Church before. She said you might want to visit with her, and she had to go on upstairs. So I was busy getting all the right donuts lined up and put out, and I went by and greeted her, offered her some coffee, and she didn't care for any coffee, but she said she would get a donut. And then I went on about my way, and I was back and forth and visiting with people. And I noticed when I finished and got ready to go up to Sunday school myself, the narthex had cleared out. There weren't very many people in there, but she was still there. And she was standing there by herself. And so I walked back to the workroom to get my cute little purse with my Bible in it and my cup of coffee with whole cream in it. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And then I realized what I needed to do. And that's what I did. I went out and said, hey, I'm getting ready to go up to Sunday school. Would you like to walk up with me? And she said, sure. And she did. And she sat in Sunday school with me. We left Sunday school early because we ushered. And so she came down, sat down, and I said, would you like to just go on in the sanctuary and sit down? They were studying stations and spending time with that. And so she had an opportunity to sit in there and watch that. It was interesting to me. She didn't look like us, but we're all God's children, right? So I struggled with that, and I'm sharing that with you because maybe you wouldn't. And I hope that I don't struggle as much next time. But it is an opportunity for us to certainly share the word and be kind and welcoming to all of God's children, even if they don't look like us. But when she went into the sanctuary, she sat towards the front, which was really neat to me. So I had an opportunity to visit with her. She had spent the night in her vehicle. She has family here in Enid, and she was just delightful and sweet, and found a place here at First Church where we were kind and welcoming, and she was able to enjoy our service on Sunday. So keep me in check on that, because it was kind of hard for me to stand up here tonight and admit that this really happened, but I did. I was like, I just kind of liked going up to Sunday school, and there she stood, and there wasn't anybody else out there, and so anyway, but just a story and an opportunity to think about the way we sometimes get involved in our own little mission and forget about those around us. So,
from your Sunday school class, we think you handle it really, really well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm not proud of the way I had some of those extra thoughts, but
We didn't see those extra thoughts. It's all good.
okay, well, thank you. I think, Devin, you're up, right?
Marty, I appreciate you being vulnerable because I think it pinpoints, what we're trying to do as a church, and that we should all look for the people who look different from us and take a step towards them. To always be on the lookout for that, knowing that even in those little uncomfortable moments when we're not sure about what's going to happen, to know that God is going to be there with us. And so just as we move into, I like to be interactive, so one of the things I want to ask you to do for a moment with your table is I did ask the last time that we had church council was to share with your small groups, how are we doing on our vision? What are we doing good at? What are we not doing so good at? Hopefully, you were able to have some conversations. If you didn't, this is a time for you to have a conversation. And I need one person from each table to take the vision sheet of paper, the paper that has the see, study, serve, share, send on it, and turn it over and write something down from your table. And go.
First one that touches.
Sure. Let me get you a pen.
All right, so what I want you to do real quick is look at that sheet, see, study, serve, share, and send. What I want you to do is I want you to mark, put a star next to it, circle the top two that you are doing. We talk about what we're doing. I just kind of want to know, what do you think you're doing well, and what do you think you need to work on? And the plan is for me to take those sheets up. I don't need names, but I would like to know, just as a general congregation, what are we as a congregation doing well at, and what do we need maybe some help with, growing with? So yeah, just the top two, what you're doing well, and then you can leave the other ones what you need to work on. And then, before you leave tonight, I want that sheet of paper so I can tally them up and just see what it looks like as a congregation. What are we doing well at as a congregation? Because sometimes it's easy for us to talk about what other people are doing good at or bad at, but then it's, I need to work on this. That's where it shifts, So, when we consider what it means to see all God's children, I would invite you to remember three things. One being Marty's challenge that she shared with us tonight, to look for people. I hope also that you got the letter about the general conference update, and that made sense. And if it doesn't, I'm glad to come and visit with classes and explain it as best I can. But it does give us an opportunity to live into our vision, to see all God's children. And another one of those opportunities will be this Sunday and Tuesday with the Reconciling Group, which is a group that helps us raise awareness about different social topics, and one of those being understanding terminology when it comes to human sexuality, what's helpful, what's harmful, all of those things. Regardless of where you stand on anything, if we don't understand each other, we can't really care for each other. And so these are those kinds of opportunities that present to where you can understand somebody who might be very different from you. When it comes to studying, we have lots of ways to grow in our spiritual walk. One of those particular studies is going to be a study that Marcia Scott and Brady Kokajan are offering on the will of God. It's a book, I can't remember who it's written by, but talking about God's will through the ups and the downs. Last time I think a few of you said that we need more Bible studies. So now I would challenge you to sign up and go to the Bible study. Not just come up with the idea, but go to the studies. To serve, I think just the fact that you all are here, I'm just so grateful for the ways that you serve the church and the way that you disperse this information that we share. I was really proud of our Raising Disciples Sunday school class, because after our last church council meeting, the next Sunday I came in and they were talking about what we talked about at church council. So that's your job, is to serve in that way, to disperse the information and share it with your groups. To share, Easter's coming up. Who are you going to invite to church? People still say that the number one reason that they show up at a church is because they were invited, not because they saw something on social media or an ad in the paper. You know, those things do help. I mean, the father-daughter dance, one of the reasons why we had several guys that we didn't know was because they saw the signs outside. That's definitely a way that helps people get the word out, but the most powerful way is just inviting somebody to come and join you. And then to send, how are you training up leaders? Think about people in the congregation who are younger than you, no matter what your age is, whether you're a youth or you're older. You know, there's always somebody that we can be helping to train up, somebody that we can come alongside. I think of a few great opportunities right now for Krista in seminary, Cody, our AV leader, and Trent, our modern worship leader, have started an online worship ministry school that I think will help grow them both. Starting in the fall, just to kind of let you all know, I'll be doing an online continued ed offer that's offered by the Methodist Foundation, which basically will provide me with, after 2 years, the equivalent of an MBA. So it'll train me in a lot of the things I didn't learn in seminary, you know, the spreadsheets, HR, all of those good stuff, you know. So, and the best part about it is it costs us nothing, but the church would hopefully benefit from that. So there's a lot of things to be thankful for from the work of our trustees. I'm so thankful for Bill and his endless hours, because he basically became a hired volunteer. The playground, the fact that we are that close to being ready to get that started. You know, we'll make the announcement on Sunday and you'll see it in a letter, but we are close to our goal. We're at 380 and our goal is 450. And so we need help making that happen. But just the fact that, you know, we have this incredible problem that both our children's ministry and our Learning Tree program is just, you know, expanding, and we have all these families coming, so.
I will say that on this waiting list, we have, my 2-year-old class is completely full already, just from kids who enrolled through, who are already here. So we have 20 more 2-year-olds. So hopefully we're going to be able to move some classes around and add another 2-year-old class.
It's awesome.
So that will give us, you know, more kids on that class.
Yeah, we were having a conversation the other day. We're like, what room would we,
Yeah,
you know, like that's a great problem to have, where we're wondering what room are we going to redo to make this happen. So, and just looking at that trustee list, I hope you look at that and see just how much we have to do, because it is important that we continue to strive to do these things, but there's always something more to do. So, and our worship team, I'm incredibly thankful for Sharon. I'm so glad that she came tonight so that we can, you know, recognize her in front of her and just say thank you. We knew.
You are going to still be at that piano, right? What's that? You're still going to be at that piano occasionally. Please, yes, please.
I mean, she's always welcome.
Yeah,
You know,
that's awesome.
we always knew that this was kind of an interim situation, and we want to be respectful of that. You know, we will, you know, embarrass her in front of everybody on May 15th, obviously, because that'll be, you know, her last Sunday before Devin gets here.
Did I tell you I'm gone that Sunday?
Oh, are you? Don't worry. We'll find another time. You'll be in the sermon in some way. But just be sure that you let her know individually how much you appreciate her, and let's just keep finding ways to live out our vision together. Amen?
Amen.
I don't believe there is any old business. Any new business? Anyone? Going once, going twice? All right, if you're ready, I'm going to give the closing prayer. Lord of day and night, of beginnings and endings, as we prepare to conclude this meeting, we once again lift up our hearts to you, the divine source of all life. We thank you for the gifts that have been present within this act of service to you, O God. We are grateful for the gifts of fellowship and understanding, of mutual respect and shared vision, of perseverance and insight into the common concerns we share. For these and all other graces, we are thankful. As you have blessed our coming together, now bless our departure and journeys homeward. May your blessing be upon us. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.